Would you like to make your smart home smarter? Would you like to know about the possibility of getting paid for doing this? Well, stay tuned and you will find out how. Welcome to another edition of Tech Bites with Renutter, your home for all things relating to smart home technology. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to transform your smart home with Shelly and get paid to innovate. Hi, I'm Ron Nutter, and we're going to be working on this together. For any items mentioned in this episode, there are affiliate links in the description. If you click on any of these links, I may get a small commission, but that won't affect the price you pay for the item. If you want to get notified when new content is uploaded, please click on subscribe and enable notifications. Now, here's how we're going to be covering transforming your smart home with Shelly. First, we're going to talk about the foundation that we're going to be building on. I'm going to show you what I'm actually running right now, and I'll be adding to an existing system so you'll kind of see a way to organize things and how you can possibly proceed. But this is all going to be up to you. Now, the next thing to handle is what you're going to need, and it will be both hardware and, well, I guess you can call it software logins. But that's very straightforward, and I'll even teach you a trick that makes it a little bit easier. Now, we'll talk about setting up a Shelly Smartplug, because that has to happen first. And then we'll talk about integrating Shelly with something called Combinder. This is the part where you get into down the road, there is the potential for earning a little bit of money with your Shelly configuration. Okay, now we're going to be going through the foundation that this is going to be built on, and I've already got an existing configuration, and this is something I'm using in my office. If you've looked at the Shelly stuff before and it's been a while, you're really going to see some things here. So this is where we'll get started. Now, I've got two different ways I can look at the information. I've got the different rooms. I've got the main studio that I'm in right now. I've got the test lab where I'll kind of experiment with things when I first look at them to figure out how I'm going to get them to fit. And then I've got the back hallway. Now, the numbers you see right here is part of the secret to the sauce with the Shelly items. The one plug we're going to be looking at is something, it's the Smartplug. I'll have to look up the name here in a moment, but there's a specific model this is done with. Not all the other models are supported at this point and may never be. There's an integration being done between Shelly and Combinder, and this is the one that Combinder says is going to work. So you'll see the number here. This is the total power being used in that room that is being monitored on the Shelly devices. Now we'll go in here, and what's going to be, we'll go to the back hallway. That's where I've got some of my gear. Now I've got some of my crypto mining stuff on here. So it tells me the voltage at that plug. It shows me the wattage. Now I can turn them on and off. So if I get a device that's hung, and occasionally it will, that I can cycle it from wherever I happen to be. I don't have to go there and unplug it and hold my breath for 20 to 30 seconds and then turn it back on. But if you go deeper, this is where you really can start to get the information. You'll see the power that it's been using. Now, don't worry about this part here. It's not got turned off. That's just where the end of the graph happens to show up. And that shows you its power consumption at that point. Now, you can drill into a little bit there. You can see a comparison of what it used previous period to this period, and this yellow line is here because this particular one came up a little over a day ago. This has been one of the ones I changed out, and it's been very nice from the other one that I had. Now you can also keep, there's an activity that it keeps track of, and there's a premium level you get to, but everything I'm doing here is all from the base package. Now, here's something that's very interesting, because the biggest gripe I've had, and I even had this discussion with Shelly, and they kind of at the time said, well, it's just the way it's going to be. When you have a power outage and the power goes out. Okay, fine, the plug's going to go down. I get that. But it doesn't come back up. What this does, auto on, is when you check that and click save, it's going to wait 1 minute from the time power is restored, which should give it just enough time to reattach to the access point, and then it will resume normal operations. Now, what the goal here is when power, of course, comes back on, there's going to be a surge. Well, with that plug being turned off, you're now using it as kind of a sacrificial lamb, that if the surge is too much, the plug, if it's doing what I would expect it to, would act like a fuse and blow. And I'd rather have to replace a smart plug than replace some of the crypto gear. Now, you can do schedules if you want it to go on and off certain time, and I will be doing that with some other devices. And there's no active actions. There's so much you can do here, and I wanted to kind of walk through some of this. Now, these are configurable by Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and I've really had better luck with doing Bluetooth configuration, because with Wi-Fi, of course, you have to change over to an SSID and then change back, and it's, as long as you're fairly close to the device, and I can, let's see, from where I am now to the back hall is about 70 feet. So that has worked well for me. Now, depending on what your walls are made of, your mileage may vary, but you can go in here and remotely turn off Bluetooth so that it will stop taking active connections via that. Now, you can look at the max power protection. There's all sorts of things like over voltage auto recovery, and if your voltage were to get too high, it'll shut off automatically. So there's a lot of nice things that come with this. Now, you can go into offline notifications. Now, some of this is going to require upgrade to premium, but figure out how you want to proceed, and then you can go from there. And you can share this device with somebody else. This is something I try to check periodically, is to make sure that my firmware is updated so I can avoid any problems with there's a glitch that may cause it to measure something wrong or not respond the way it should. Now, I actually had one, and if you've got an existing Shelly Smartplug, the thing to watch is when you integrate this into your Shelly console or you start using it, make sure you've got all the updates on. I actually had one plug that surprised me. I had to update it twice. So apparently the updates aren't cumulative. You had to apply each one and then go on. What I have noticed is that it will take its update, but it doesn't change the operation of the plug, because I was concerned about that. I was watching devices. It never went offline. So they have addressed that, and it's nice. Now, if you think the Shelly plug is not responding the way it should, you can reboot it. If you want to start over, and I did this one time because I misread what was going on, you can actually reset the device over the network. So if you turned off Bluetooth, this would turn it back on so you can get to the device if you're within the appropriate Bluetooth range. So this is one way of looking at it. Now, I've got the 3 rooms in the office, and they'll actually, when we get into turning up the other device, no, we won't be bringing up a new room just yet. But what we'll do is I use groups to look at what I can change. Now, for example, I've got a crypto group. Everything that has anything to do with mining crypto or gathering crypto is going to be in this tab. I then have the ones that are my Bitcoin miners, and this shows you right here what's it. So you can turn them on and off here, and you're looking at just the ones that do Bitcoin. And you see one over here labeled ADSB. That's my aircraft data receiver one, which actually does earn crypto. And the trick with this one, see, this is where the Shelly plug that I'm using, you see it's reading the watts and the voltage. If that is somewhere around 0 or less than 1 watt, the unit's got a problem, and it's gotten hung or it's doing something wrong. So I can power cycle the unit from here and restore operations. So that's been handy. So if you notice here, crypto is the main one, so everything is there. You see, you've got the 4 different ones you can turn on and off. Then when I go to Bitcoin, it's down to 3, because the one device that doesn't Bitcoin, the ADSB receiver, is down here separate. So you can always account for the different devices. So this is something that is kind of handy. Now we'll go over here to the Combinder tab, and there's an integration between the two. So you can, but both of these have got to be up and ready to go. So what we'll do here is we'll go down to the devices, and you can see I've been bringing them up one at a time. And so each one you bring up is going to have a different one. It will have the name of the device that you give Combinder, not necessarily the name that is known to on Shelly. And it'll say whether it's active or not. And see, this is another case. If it shows where it's not active, you can go over here to Shelly Control and restart the device. And there's things on here with Combinder. They have different quests you can look at, and you earn crypto. Now this is in what I will call a testnet phase. So you can't just turn this over like you would some other systems to make money every day. This is very much of a long play. This is just become available here in the past couple of months. So you'll see the number of devices that it's seeing and the number of data volume days. Now this number, to me, I didn't expect it to increment this way, but what you're seeing is this is all these devices, and each one has a separate ID like you saw before. So it's accumulating it at a different rate. And with the quests, you then have badges that you can look at. It's different. They have different requirements. Like you get, when you collect 1 day of data, you get a little bit of what I'll call the testnet token at this point. Then you have the dedicated data logger, and that says 1 week. I've already accumulated that, but I think it's counting each day from each device. And this is not something you need to watch heavily, because they only do the posting of the new earnings in air quotes about midnight each day. So it's really, you check it once or twice a day, maybe just to look at things. And I would do that more from the Shelly tab just to make sure that everything's all right. And that way I'm looking at the power usage. And that was one you turn on your first device. Then you have Energy Addict when you connect your third device, and then there's other ones you can go on here. So there's way to potentially earn money, and this is not financial advice, but this is just something that is possible. This is very much a developing situation. So this might go away. I don't know. I've had no contact with the group that's doing this, but either way, this is really going to help me get good information, because I'd been looking at one of these whole home monitoring systems, or whole house, whatever you want to call it, and we have to go into the breaker panel and you put probes on all the lines. Well, that's just going to tell you what's coming in from the room. This is going to tell you what's coming from the device. So it helps take things at a little bit different level. Okay, now I mentioned earlier that there was a specific plug. This is the one I've been using. I've seen a reference to one other plug, but I don't know what country, because I couldn't find it on the Shelly website. So for those of my North American viewers, this is the one to look at. If you want to see what else is available, check on the Shelly website and see what they have. See if I know they have one for United Kingdom, because it has the circular plug that is used there. So you can buy these in 1, 2, or 4, depending on what's available. Now, I've had times when I can get one of these easily, but the 2-plug one took several days to become available. And there was one time, the 4 was there, but it didn't. So look at that and look at the price of the individual versus the others, because you can save a little bit if you can buy in higher quantity. And it says 15 amp. Be mindful of that. Don't try to run a whole bunch of things on it. And I'm going to have to look at my fridge to see what power it pulls, because I may not be able to put the fridge on this one. But that's a matter for another day. So let's shift over here to the Shelly Control tab. And I'll come down here where it says Add Device. Now, I'm going to go do the Bluetooth one, and you see with my being on a Mac, Bluetooth is active, and so we'll just say include device via web Bluetooth. You can do this on your smartphone as well. And just to make things easy, I'm just going to leave it on any Shelly device. That way you can kind of figure out what's going on. And if you don't see anything right away, okay, it did catch it this time. So this is another reason why I turn off Bluetooth, because it helps me identify which one I need to configure. Click on pair, and it's going to go through and get what it needs from the device. All right, and see, it's remembered the password, and no, I'm not going to click on that one. Right now I'm putting all of my managed crypto stuff on a different SSID. This ultimately is going to be for Wi-Fi 7, which is why I've got it named that way, even though it doesn't matter for the Shelly stuff because it's only on 2.4 with the current iteration. So we'll click on next, and it's going to program the Wi-Fi. It takes it just a little bit to come around here. Okay, so we've got that. And then it's got its own IP address, and that there's another piece to the puzzle that we'll talk about here in a moment. This week, you can turn this into a very sophisticated system. So we'll click on next, and we'll give it its name, and we're going to call this Accurist 1. I've actually got two different banks of the smartphones monitoring the Accurist token. So we'll click on next. And we're going to go to back hallway, which is where this one is located. I've got a hallway with not a lot of nice plugs in it, and it kind of keeps it out of the main area. Okay, so it's already done. And it says pending connection. It's going to take it just a moment here. And if you're like me and don't have a whole lot of patience at times, I can refresh the screen, and guess what? It's already up running. Now, see, it's measuring the voltage where the plug is currently connected, and it's going to get moved when I put it on the Accurist system, but then it will show me the wattage once I plug in this phone bank charger. Okay, now we're going to do the integration from the Combinder side. What I would suggest to have the best luck with everything is you're going to have to create accounts on both the Shelly system, and if you already got an existing Shelly configuration, you already have that. You'll have to create an account on the Combinder side. That's very straightforward. I'm not going to go into that here. So we'll go down to the button here, and we will click next. Now this is where you can name it differently. I would keep it named the same way you have on the Shelly side, just to make the troubleshooting a little bit easier. So we'll click next. Okay, yes, fine, that's the thing we're going to go with. And it says unauthorized. All right, well, this is what happens when you're been doing this for a while. Once you go in here, and I see this is where you need a good reason why to keep all your names the same between the two systems. So we'll click on Accurist. Oh, here we go. There we go. It took it a while to get ready. Now, two things you have to do on here, or it's not going to work right. Click on yes for enable integrator for this device, and you have to allow device control. Just if you don't do that, things are just not going to work right. So we'll click on save, and it says done. Okay, it got done twice then. Okay, now what we'll do here is we'll go back over here to Combinder. It says please click, continue on Shelly. All right, it assumes that you haven't got everything done. Now, if we go over here to devices, we should have 5 devices here now. Now it says initializing. It's got to take a few minutes to sync with the mothership and get everything ready. This is where you really won't see anything for about another day. So it's just going to take time. Again, the initialization piece, if we click on that and click refresh, it's just, I'm not patient at times. So this has got that all up and running. And you can see what it's got going on in terms of when you click over on wallet. And again, this is very much in a testnet phase. It's going to take some time for them to work things on their side. Now, this is where you've got, lists all your devices individually so you can see the number of days that it thinks they've been online. I haven't found out what Bind Boost is yet. And then it shows you the rewards it's earned. And then if you go by quest, I've done everything that I can at this point. It's going to be now it's just a matter of wait to see what else is going to happen. So this has got some interesting potential. This is very much early on with Combinder. So it could be probably several months later this year. And then, as they continue to work on their system, and what Combinder is doing is information that your Shelly Smart Plugs, the Shelly Plus Plug US, is going to earn for you. It's just going to take time. And as they figure out how to monetize it, and why not, some of your other devices may already do this too, and they just, unless you dig down into the fine print, as they say, may not really tell you that much. Keep in mind, this is very much a developing process. I just recently found out about this one, and I figure, what the heck? This gives me a good reason to standardize on one device. And from what you've seen under Shelly control, that it tells you very much what is going on. And then what I'll do here is with group, I'll click plus, and you've got to tell what kind of group. So the Shelly Smart Plugs are going to be considered a relay. And then we'll go to back hallway, and then we'll go to Accurist, and next. And I'm going to leave that one as a global. Some things I haven't made a lot of changes into yet. I'm just trying to figure out. And this one, what I will do is just call it Accurist. It's just the name of what's being mined at that point. Then we'll click Save. It's not going to show anything at this point. See, it's offline. Because I haven't moved the device into the final position. So, see what you think about this one. This is very much of a work in progress, and it's going to be a while. But I think it's got some potential as things move on to, as you can see now, I can look at things from where the devices are located. So I can see what's going on here. And then using the groups as to the different crypto that I'm mining. And it doesn't have to be crypto, guys, or folks. It can be if you've got similar devices spread around a house, like a temperature monitor or any number of things, you can use that to kind of help filter down what's going on. So go through all this, and you may want to go through the video several times to really see what's going on, but it's got a lot of potential. And this has taken me the better part of a week to figure out how best to do it. And I may change it again. That's the beauty of it. Appreciate you watching the video, and stay tuned for other developments. If you're watching this on YouTube, you will see videos on the screen that are similar to the one you've just watched, or other content that YouTube thinks you might be interested in. If this video helps you or provides value, please click on the like button, thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, regardless of platform, please click on subscribe and enable notifications. We'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.